Hey, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do SEO for dentists. And so I'm going to walk you through my complete process that will help you rank not only in the local pack, but will also help you rank in Google's traditional organic results. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing SEO for a dentist, you're actually doing it for them, or you're trying to do it yourself as a dentist. This will give you the exact blueprint you need to succeed in Google in 2024 and beyond. Let's jump right in. Okay, so the first thing here is just looking at the overall interest in the dental industry. So when you look at this, there is just a massive demand for dentists in the United States. And I don't think we need to really talk about this any further. There is a massive amount of search volume. Now, keep in mind, this search volume is just broadly looking at the entire United States. So as we start to break this down, you're gonna see this volume will get lower, but that's good because that will actually help you increase conversion rates because we're focusing on areas and more focused keywords that actually drive conversions at a higher level. Okay, so that is that. Now let's talk about why SEO is important. Okay, now one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to have to get on TikTok here and start, dancing to have to earn patience. Okay, there's all kinds of people on TikTok that do this. Nothing against them, right? No problem with that. But if we really want to not have to do this, we don't have to learn how to dance, we don't have to learn how to be super charismatic, we don't have to learn all these other skills. Instead, we just want to learn how to get consistent traffic, leads, and new patients. Then the best way to really do this is through SEO, right? And this can certainly work. This is a good supplementary method to build your brand. You don't necessarily have to dance. But what we want to do is we want to focus in on SEO because SEO is the single best source for getting new leads because we don't have to interrupt anyone to get them to actually become a lead. Instead, they're coming to us. They're searching on Google. They're searching for us. And as long as we do what we need to do, we should hopefully be able to turn them into a patient, right? So a couple things though is we don't want to just think about purely Google, right? So this is SEO, right? And some people, when they see the acronym SEO, they think it's just about Google, but the truth is SEO is applicable to any search engine. So for example, when we look at Google, we'll take a look, dentists in St. Louis, the most obvious things we want to do here is we want to rank in this local pack and we want to rank in the organic results. Okay, so we want to rank in both those spots because that pretty much guarantees that we're going to at least get a high percentage of clicks on these SERPs. All right, and so when we talk about this here in a second about keyword research, you're going to see that there's a certain amount of search volume that you're going to get every month. We're only going to get a small fraction of that search volume when it comes to clicks. And so you can expect, if let's say you're number one in the local pack or number one in the traditional organic results, you're probably going to be looking at around 30% CTR, and that's if you're doing really well. So that means out of every 100 people who search this one exact keyword phrase, only 30 of those people are going to go to your website. Okay, so this just can help you kind of estimate the potential return on investment when it comes to executing an SEO campaign. Okay, so we want to rank in both these spots. But in addition to that, we also want to rank in other search engines as well. And this is the most untapped part of this whole process. People get so focused on Google, but look at the opportunity that exists just on YouTube. There are, tons of old videos here, tons of opportunity to come in here as a dentist and just flood YouTube search and YouTube in general in your local area. There's just so much opportunity. And then we also look at TikTok. Okay, we look at TikTok and there's tons of opportunity here as well. When you search dentist St. Louis, you can start to show up for these searches as well in this, one of the most popular websites on the internet. I guarantee that some of your ideal clients are using TikTok right now, okay? But you don't have to dance, right? That's not what I'm saying you do, but you have to at least show up in search, okay? By giving value, okay? Another one is Twitter, or we could call it X now, all right? These are all different search engines. Anywhere where there is a search function is an opportunity for you to get clients. So I would first obviously focus your effort on Google, but while you're doing that, also consider how can we start getting a YouTube strategy? How can we start getting a TikTok strategy? How can we start getting a Twitter strategy? Start to formulate this kind of omnipresence search strategy that's gonna help you just dominate your local area, all right? And trust me, most dentists, 9 out of 10 are not going to go to this level. So if you do, or your agency does, you're going to have a huge advantage, okay? So next one here is just the general SERP infrastructure. I already kind of give you, an overview of what that looks like. But when it comes to SERP infrastructure, we want to just think about how to occupy as much real estate as possible. So treat the SERPs like real estate. And what that means is you really should be thinking about like how many spots can I occupy on the first page for our keywords that we really want to go after. So that could be, you know, actually investing in advertising, obviously having a local profile here to actually rank in the local pack, and then also ranking in the organic results. But let's just add a couple more points to this. You can also rank in the people also asked section. You can also rank on Yelp and the other directories. So what can happen is you could, if you do this well, you execute this well, you could have like 3, 4, possibly in some cases 5 listings on the first page. And the more spots that we occupy, the more clicks that we can capture, right? But if you're just one, you would say you only rank in the organic and you don't rank in the local pack, your CTR is going to be much lower. Your click-through rate is going to be much lower. So we want to try to occupy as much real estate as possible, okay? Then what we can do is once we understand that concept, we need to do some keyword research, all right? Fortunately, tools like SEMrush make this really easy. And so you can actually go into SEMrush, we'll go to the keyword manager. And what I like to do, and I've already actually done this just to kind of show you, but just to show you an example here, is just type in dentist and then your city. Okay, so we'll just do dentist St. Louis, all right? And then we'll just do create list. And SEMrush will automatically create keyword seeds that it believes we should go after, okay? And when you look at this, some of these are gonna be good fits, some of them are not, but in general, what it's doing is it's clustering all these different keywords with the same intent all into one bucket. So if you look at like cosmetic dentistry St. Louis, it's gonna say it has a search volume of 520 searches per month over here on the right-hand side, okay? But what it's doing is it's combining all these keyword variants into this one bucket, okay? And if a keyword has the same intent, then you really want to target it on just one page. So you would have one dedicated cosmetic dentistry St. Louis page, okay? You would have one page for that. And that one page would probably rank for all the variations once you've created it the right way, okay? So you want to build out separate pages for different service offerings and potentially different locations. Like let's say you also service Depair, okay? Then you would have a dedicated page specifically for pediatric dentists Depair. Okay, you want to have those separated because as the intent changes, we want to build out a dedicated page. Because otherwise, if you try to rank your St. Louis page for Depair, all that's going to happen is you're not going to rank anyway because Google probably just won't rank it. But let's say you did rank, your conversion rates would be horrible and the user signals would be horrible on that page because it's apples to oranges and we want it to be apples to apples. Otherwise, conversion rates will be low. User signals will be low, and as a result, Google does use user signals as part of the ranking equation. So if the user signals are poor, that page is probably going to fall off the rankings anyway, okay? So you want to make sure you have apples to apples. That keyword should match that page perfectly. That's what we should be trying to do, all right? So very quickly, you can do keyword research like that. You can, of course, use your best judgment, but I would recommend actually getting some data behind the structure of your site. That's really, really important, okay? Now, couple things is also on keyword combos. Okay, so I have a complete dedicated guide to this on my website. But if you go down here and we go to the keyword combos section, you'll see I have a bunch of different combinations you can use. All right, so dentist city, cosmetic dentist plus city. Use these combos to find these keywords and build that database because what you're going to want to do is you want to build these dedicated pages to ultimately rank for these commercial keywords that will actually drive patients. Okay, we'll be talking more about some content related mistakes that people do make in the context of SEO, but for this right here, this needs to be the focus. Get your commercial keywords in place, get your commercial pages in place. Once that's done, then we can start talking about some other stuff. All right. Now let's go into on-site SEO. Now we're going to be looking at a variety of sites here, and I'll show you a few, and I'm just going to be kind of riffing on a few of these. All right. Basically what you're going to see here is there's a massive amount of opportunity to beat your competitors. Okay, there's some that are really established, really hard to beat, but for the most part there's a lot of room for improvement. All right, so let's go through a few of these. Number one, when it comes to site architecture, okay, this is one of the highest ranking dental practices in New York City. Okay, they've got a ton of reviews, they've got a ton of organic traffic as well. So this is a very good model to look at. Okay, but what I want to focus here is on just the architecture, okay, pure architecture. And one thing you want to do is in the navigation, you want to make sure you have your service offerings in the navigation, okay? And they've done a nice job with this. I'm not really a fan of putting like visuals inside of the navigation because I think it distracts from the user experience. But overall, this is like a solid 8 out of 10 as far as actually presenting the information that they need to present, okay? So this is all good. Now, this is really important that you have this here because if you don't, it's just gonna hurt user experience. So overall, this one's pretty good. Let's look at some other ones. This one, once again, very good. It's got some nice navigation items here. This is all good stuff, but this is where things start to break down, all right? You look at this book appointment call, like navigation item here, and this should be a call to action. So I should be able to click this, and be able to book an appointment. But the way this is set up, if I click on it, nothing happens. Okay, so I'm clicking, nothing happens. It goes to another one, and then it goes to its third. So basically what we've done is we've created a ton of friction, which is gonna decrease our conversion rates. And you're gonna see for a lot of these ones I'm about to show you, friction is a real problem when it comes to these websites. Okay, you want to have as little friction as possible. You want it to be so seamless that no one even has to think when they're on your website. And if they have to think at all or something's weird, that small, let's call it second of friction, will decrease conversion rates dramatically. Okay, so you have to be really, really deliberate about your conversions. And going back to this site, they actually have this is really nice. Like they've got the call to actions up here. Everything is working properly. So this is a good model right here, okay? Going to another one here. This is another example where you look at the navigation and you can't even tell that in the services drop down here that it actually is a drop down, right? So if you go back to this site, you see they have this little arrow here, which signifies to the user that you can actually see more, right? But when you don't have that, just that one little element alone looks like, oh, I don't know what services they have. Right? You may not even know that they have any more because there's no clear sign that that's going to be a drop down. Okay, so little subtle design changes that make a huge difference as far as how users can navigate your site. Okay, another thing is too, just in general, like looking at this massive image right here that's serving no purpose to drive conversions. And all this does is just make the user frustrated because they're like, okay, now I got to scroll down just to find what I need to do. Okay. Just eliminate stuff like this that is not going to move that user closer to becoming a lead, right? That should be what we think about, like how far is that gap? We want to make it as close as possible, right? Like they get to the site, it's clear that we give them the information they need and then they become a lead. That's what we're trying to do as fast as possible. Anything that distracts from that needs to be eliminated altogether, okay? Then we've got this one here, and this is one I wanted to show just because they're doing an amazing job as far as user experience, user interface, just everything. Like I think this is a great model. So I would be, if you're trying to improve your dental website, I would certainly look at these guys. They're doing a very nice job, beautiful design, very well, just well put together, very, very good. But even a site like this that is almost flawless, right? Almost flawless, has a couple challenges. The biggest one being right here, okay? So when you look at this phone number is not clickable, okay? And when a phone number is not clickable, that means when someone is on their phone and they're trying to actually call that, they can't, right? So they'd have to copy the number, or they have to open up 2 windows on their phone and they have to try to remember what that number is while typing it in. That is way too much friction on mobile. So that level of friction, once again, will kill conversion rates. Now, most people are smart enough to probably click this book now button. They'll be fine. But the point is, like, just make it easier. Like, make it easier for your users to become a lead. This is just, UX and CRO 101 here type of stuff. But you would not believe this. I feel like I need to do a separate case study just to identify how many times a business does this. It's so frequent. It is pretty disturbing, okay? Keep going here, same thing. This site looks pretty good. They've got a booking form above the fold, which I like. And then they've got a lot of good calls to action, okay? All good stuff. A couple other ones here. This one, once again, the same challenge I already discussed. Great looking website. This website looks great. It's got a really pretty design, looks nice user interface. But from a conversion perspective, from a UX perspective, once again, phone number isn't clickable. So call to text, but you can't do anything with the phone number. So you're just missing out on conversions by doing this, okay? And same with this one. It's not, the phone number is not clickable up here either, all right? So I think you get the point. Focus on user experience, focus on conversions. That's really what matters here, all right? Now we're gonna go back over to this, and URL structure. Once again, if you only target one city, like if you're just targeting New York City, then your homepage makes sense to be the focus. But if you're targeting a secondary city, let's say you're going after the Bronx, then you would want to have a dedicated page to support that secondary location, okay? As far as URL structure, I show right here what Yelp's URL structure looks like, but they've got it really squared away, right? They've got dentists plus the location plus the state. That's basically what you need. So you're gonna have your core service offering, the city, and the state. If you have that in the URL, doesn't matter how you slice and dice it, whether you use folders or you go right off the root, it doesn't make a difference. All that matters is that those keywords show up in the URL structure. Okay, that's what matters. Technical SEO, you should always run your site through the page loading speed just to make sure that it's at least loading fast. There's not a huge ranking factor, but it's still something you should definitely consider as far as just one little element that you can get ahead on your competition, okay? So now let's talk about the big piece here, which is content, all right? And so we've gone through kind of the technical stuff. Now let's talk about commercial content versus informational content on the local level. This is by far the thing that I see people mess up probably more than anything on the local level, okay? What you don't want to do is create content. Well, let me rewind. Let's start with the commercial content. We'll talk about informational. So as far as commercial content, a couple of these guys are doing this really well. So like this one here, this is a great example of a commercial page that is doing what it's designed to do, which is drive conversions. What you don't want to do is have a keyword with commercial intent, which is like dentist, New York City, and then have a big long article about it. Okay, that's not what we're trying to do. What we want to do is make sure that on this page, because of the intent, we're matching the intent, and then also the page is matching that intent, right? So if it's a commercial page or a commercial keyword, that's deeper into the funnel. So if it's deeper into the funnel and the sales cycle, then we want to try to move them into becoming a lead, right? So this page does a nice job, right? They've got their offerings. They've got some unique value propositions. They've got a lot of calls to action. They've got a couple things about their dentists and some of their some benefits, and then also some testimonials. Okay, this is pretty sufficient. Like obviously you could add more stuff here. You could beef up this page maybe a little bit more with more social proof, maybe frequently asked questions. There's more you can do, but overall, this is what a good commercial page should typically look like. Okay. Now let's go to something that's more informational in nature. All right, so they're ranking for a lot of informational stuff, this same practice here. So we'll go to this one here, which is 7 ways to stop grinding your teeth. All right, so on the surface, most people would think that this is a good piece of content for a dentist. This is not a bad piece of content for a dentist, all right? It's not a bad piece of content, but the problem is that this is only about 50% of the equation of what you should be doing. And so there's nothing, you can certainly create content like this, and there is utility in going after topics that have national intent or that don't have a lot of variance depending on where you live. So like grinding your teeth as a topic is the same no matter where you live. You can live in California or Missouri or Montana. Grinding your teeth is grinding your teeth. So it doesn't change depending on where you live, right? And so that would be more something that has national intent. And the benefit of creating national intent based content like this is that there is a possibility that you could attract some backlinks to this, okay? And in fact, that is what has happened for them, okay? When we look at their link profile, let's try to find their link profile here. You'll see that they actually have attracted some links to some informational assets. Okay, so like right here, they've got they've got some spammy links in their link profile, but there's a few that they've attracted to informational assets that are national driven. So that's one I would be thinking about is like, if you're trying to attract links, there is utility in going that route. However, if you're gonna do this the right way to build localized authority and local relevance, then you wanna try to find topics that have that are relevant to your service offering, but also relevant to the location in which you're targeting. Okay, and the good news, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can use ChatGPT to kind of formulate some of these ideas. Before I move on though, let's keep looking at this post here. And a couple, these are, once again, going back to user experience. User experience will dictate SEO performance. So anything that I'm talking about as far as user experience is something that needs to be considered, because if the UX is off and the user signals are off, that's gonna reflect in the SEO performance. Okay, and I'm pretty like nitpicky about stuff like this, so take it with a grain of salt. But contrast is really, really important when it comes to conversions. So when you look at this, we've got a call to action that's green, okay? Green call to action, very simple. But then we also have the headline as green. So now what we've done is we have not created contrast here, which is gonna take away from that call to action, okay? Then we've got some icons that are green. Then we've got that's green. And then on top of that, all the links and all the headings are green. Now the problem with this is that links are meant to be clicked. And when a link matches the color of a heading, it blends in. So a link should have contrast compared to every other thing that's around it. And so right here, there needs to be more contrast. Here is the point. And typically you do not want your headings to be matching your link color. That's just general UX practice 101. And also links within the body of content should typically be underlined. This is just like standard practices so that people understand that it's a link, okay? Overall, this content's fine. It's not gonna be like blow your mind, but it does the job. It probably needs more external links going to like, qualified sources, I would say. A couple of external links in here. But then at the bottom, they've got a nice author box here that does satisfy Google's EEAT guidelines. Okay, so on the expertise level, this can certainly satisfy that. All right, so this is great. Now, let's go back to this over here. So when it comes to creating informational content, of course, you can just use your own creative thinking. That's certainly possible, or you can just use ChatGPT. All right, and so this is something that I will typically use on the local level. So like, I'll just say something like, create 10 content marketing ideas that act as link bait for a dentist in St. Louis. So make sure you have that service offering and that location. And this may need to get more specific depending on what they do. It could be like a dental implant dentist in St. Louis or a family dentist in St. Louis. And what will happen is ChatGPT will spit out a bunch of ideas. And what the key here is, you want to find ideas that have variance in the location that you're going after, okay? So for example, looking at this one, the history of dentistry in St. Louis. This is a beautiful topic. This is beautiful because number one, this is specific to St. Louis, right? It can't be replicated in anywhere else, not Los Angeles or wherever else. It's only specific to St. Louis, which is what we're trying to go for. And then number two, it's specific to dentistry, right? That's really what we want to make sure, the topic relevance and location relevance. And then number three, this can also act as a form of link bait. Okay. One thing that people get confused on a local level is they start to go into SEMrush or wherever else and they look for keywords that have a lot of search volume for informational content. Once again, nothing inherently wrong with that, but the challenge is that you're missing out on all these opportunities to go after keywords that may not have a lot of search volume showing up in the tools, but by ranking for them, first of all, they're low competition, so you'll rank really easily. And number two, anyone that's doing this independent research to find these topics is likely someone that has a high probability of linking to it. So someone that's like researching the history of dentistry in St. Louis, like that could be a reporter, right? That could be a lot of different people that are searching that. So what you're doing is you're planting a lot of seeds in the SERPs so that you're there when people are doing this research. Typically, hopefully people who are doing research for their own assets. So you're showing up there, but not on top of that, you're building proper localized topic authority, okay? And this makes a huge difference. I cannot stress it enough. So you need to treat your local content strategy as far as informational content, you need to treat it more like content marketing, not so much like what's a keyword I can find that has a lot of search volume. That's not exactly like, that will drive a lot of national based traffic, but it's not going to convert into anything. And so what we want to do is really create that localized authority. And then I'd say like in your informational content, like 80% of your informational content should be this type of content that targets both the service offering and the location, and the other 20% is going to be that more like national based content. That's going to be kind of your high traffic content, but that content can also serve well as a form of link bait, okay, which then can fuel all the other things happening in the campaign. So that's what I would focus in on, okay? Now let's talk about on-page SEO. Very simple, right? What you want to do is, before you create any page, like let's say you're going to go after a new keyword. Let's go after, we'll go after one of these. Let's say cosmetic dentistry St. Louis. Okay, you want to run this keyword through Surfer, go into here, or any on-page SEO tool. And in this case, I did dentist St. Louis. And we'll let these load up, all right? And what you want to do is, before you create that content, you want to go in here, look at the competitors, go to audit, and then we're going to scroll down and we're going to look at the NLP keywords, okay? And then you just export these NLP keywords, because what we want to do is we want to build the asset with the NLP keywords in mind, all right? So you copy these, then we're going to go into ChatGPT and we can have it build out an outline for us with these NLP keywords, okay? So you'll see here, very simple prompt: create an SEO content brief outline for the keyword phrase dentist St. Louis using the following NLP keywords, all right? And I just pasted them right in there. And what you'll see, this will put together a really solid outline for what this page should look like. Okay, this doesn't mean it's going to be an article per se, but these are the types of sections that we should have on the page, all right? Because this has commercial intent, so it should have more of a commercial feel as far as a content design, all right? Really, really good outline in a few seconds here, okay? And so I took this outline, put it into Surfer's content editor, all right? Just didn't even touch it, threw it in here like this, already at a 52. Haven't even written any content, it's already at a 52. Now, that only happened because we took all those NLP seeds to build out this outline. This is how you can really get a head start from your competition, because when you launch an asset, it's already really, really well optimized, really, really relevant, okay? And that's the beauty of these NLP keywords. We're just building the most relevant piece of content or relevant page for the keyword that we're going after. It's literally that simple. So you want to do it before you create the content. What you don't want to do is write the whole piece of content and then come into this content editor and try to, put duct tape in there and place keywords and inject them. It just doesn't work as well. It needs to be built with the keywords in mind. And then as you naturally develop that content, you'll begin to start to kind of see areas where you can start to include these keywords in a really natural way. Okay, that's the way to go about doing this. And then I'll show you an example of what would be considered poor optimization. All right, so like this website here, I think they're ranking, 85 or something for dentist St. Louis, okay? Not doing super well. And the reason is pretty obvious. So like when it comes to proper on-page SEO, there's just a few principles that we need to make sure we deploy. So number one, we'll go back to this site here because they've done a nice job. Detailed Chrome extension here, you'll see dentist in New York City in the title. That's SEO 101. You want to also typically have it in the meta description, but Google will typically rewrite your meta description anyway, so it's not really going to matter. Then we want to make sure it's in the H1, okay? Dentist in New York City. Once again, very good job. They also have it in the H2 as a variation, okay? That's good as well. And what we're doing is we want to make sure it's just all in kind of these core locations. That's just like on-page SEO 101, all right? That's like the most basic form. And then you include the NLP like I just showed you. Now you've entered a new level of advanced on-page SEO. But this website here is missing out on a lot of just the basics, right? They don't need to worry about NLP right now. They need to worry about just getting the basics right. And right now they don't have an SSL certificate, okay? So before they even think about doing anything else, you just need to get the website secure. Like that's just the number one priority, get that squared away. All right, then what we're gonna do is we wanna make sure that the conversions, we're able to actually, whatever traffic we do get, we can actually turn it into a lead and hopefully a patient. And so once again, phone number not clickable, okay? Not a clickable phone number. Very easy fix, but needs to happen. And then looking at the overall structure of the page, all right? They do have dentists in St. Louis. They do have it in the title, but there's no meta description, so they're missing out on that opportunity. And then it doesn't show up really anywhere else on the page as far as the headings, okay? So just a lot of room to add more basic elements to this page. And so if they just did that, their rankings would probably climb several pages just by doing literally the most basic things and then adding a little bit of meat to this page. All right, but let's keep going here. And then the local pack rankings. All right, so basically everything I've showed you will influence the traditional organic results, and it will influence your local pack performance, but there are some variables that are specific to the local pack. Okay, and funny thing is Google tells you exactly what to do. Like, they have a dedicated page here. It's all pretty accurate, honestly. I mean, it's pretty vague. Like, they're not going to tell you the how, they'll tell you the what. In this case, this is accurate. Most importantly, having an address in the city that you're going after is critical. You can do everything else right, everything. But if you do not have an address in the location that you're going after, you're not gonna beat the people that are there, right? It's just not gonna happen. So you need to have an address in the location that you're going after. It's so critical. And then outside of that, obviously relevance, you need to be a dentist in that location. That's pretty obvious. But outside of that, the things that really, really influence the local pack, all right? Things that really influence it. Go down here and you'll see when we look at the results, okay? So like these guys are number one in New York City, all right? The one thing that they have ahead of everyone else is reviews. Their reviews are insane. They have 1,500 reviews and a 4.9 out of 1,500. That type of volume will do a lot of good things for you when it comes to the local pack rankings. So first of all, get an address in the location. Doesn't require any effort or skill. But then the next thing you need to start to implement is just have a review generation process in place. You need to constantly be thinking about how can we get more reviews? What are we doing to get more reviews? What does our process look like? It's so critical. You just need to ask for them. There's nothing super complicated about it, but just ask for reviews. And of course, ask the people that are most happy. You have people that routinely come into your dental practice, and you need to document who has left you a review and who has not left you a review. And then just build out a database for where you start to treat it like it's a marketing operation to collect these reviews on your happy clients, okay? So one thing you can do is actually in your Google business profile, you can go in here and actually get a review link, okay? So I'm just in my Google business profile, click ask for reviews, copy this link, and now I can send this to my clients, okay, to get a review. It's really that simple. Outside of that, location, reviews, then you also have the NAP information as well, okay? I put NLP here just because that was in my mind. It's actually NAP, all right? Name, address, phone. You could actually add a W in there, which would be website as well, but typically NAP is the main elements that are considered. Bright Local is a great option for going through and just getting these cleaned up. Like, there's so many options now these days to clean this up. There's just really no excuse. So Bright Local, White Spark, Logenix, like, you don't need to do this yourself. You can just go and get this done. You could use Yext if you like, Moz Local. There's a lot of options. So there's just no reason not to be able to handle this. It's very easy, does not require any skill. It's just a requirement to make sure that you rank well, to have just consistent business information on the internet, all right? And so that's basically it as far as the local pack rankings and all the other elements that I've described so far. And the last piece of this puzzle is on link building, all right? And I could dedicate many hours to link building. I do in my training, Gotcha SEO Academy, but there's a couple key philosophical elements that you need to consider, all right? Number one, as I showed you before, lead with content. Lead with content. So when you're gonna go out there and start trying to acquire links, it's much easier to get links when you are promoting a content asset as opposed to just promoting your homepage or a commercial page. People just don't like linking to that stuff. And the only way you can really get links to those types of pages, you typically have to buy them. It's basically it, because no one's really gonna naturally link to those pages. Very rarely does that happen. But these types of pages, people could naturally link to them, and they're also just easier to promote, right? Just way better. So that's on that side. Then the last piece of this is on the link prospecting philosophy. And I created this concept many years ago called the relevancy pyramid, all right? And the way this works is when you're doing your link prospecting, you wanna prioritize opportunities that are at the top of the funnel, that are at the top of the pyramid, that are most relevant to what you do. So in a perfect world, your best link opportunity would be another St. Louis dentist or another New York dentist, right? Now the likelihood that they're gonna link to you is extremely low, so you're gonna have to go further down that pyramid. So what I would be thinking about is, like, if I was a St. Louis dentist, I'd be thinking about what are some other dentists in the local area that don't compete in St. Louis City? How can I build a relationship with them? How can we possibly exchange links, between each other? Like, how can we start to build that connection? And I'd be thinking about that, okay? And you slowly work your way down the pyramid until those opportunities start to expand out further. Your pool gets wider, but your relevance decreases, okay? But always start at the top. Like, always start at the top, because those are going to be your most impactful links, because they're the most relevant links that you can get, okay? And then as far as link prospecting, there's so many different ways to get link prospects. You could look at, local donations and sponsorships and so many things. You can also just look for guest posts, right? So Write For Us plus dentists, and just start hammering out guest posts on sites that are natural and high quality. And that's a different discussion altogether. But all of these things that you can do, there's so much you can do, but at the end of the day, the most important thing to start with is just making sure that your site is going to convert. It does not matter how much traffic you get if your site is not built to convert. So having a conversion-focused design is so critical. So make sure you get that squared away. Once that's squared away, then just start to focus on those commercial pages, get those squared away, and then build out informational assets the right way. And I showed you how to use NLP in that process. Makes a huge difference in your performance. I cannot believe how many times I've tested this. Launching a page that I just build based on like what I think is best, and then launching a page that's completely built with NLP from the beginning, the NLP page almost always outperforms. Almost always. It makes a huge difference. So do it before you create the content. It will make your life so much easier. And so that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to do for a dental SEO campaign. Hope that was helpful. And please, as always, like this video and subscribe if you want more, kind of longer form SEO guides here. Thank you so much for watching.